Hey guys, hope everyone is well out there. I know this isn't the way that I normally start my videos if you watched them before, but I kind of want to do a little bit of a brief to explain what's going on today because this is a little bit different to what I've done before. I can only apologise for my lack of time and lack of uploads. I've been quite busy with work, just doing a lot of Super Rugby and URC data collection. However, the channel hasn't been completely neglected. I've been doing something in the background that's what you're going to be seeing today, just a little bit of a sneak peek. In terms of what we're showing you today, it's a little bit of a change up. It's not just post-match analysis. This is kind of the direction I want to take the channel. So any feedback, any comments, or anything like that you can give, hugely appreciated, because it's not post-match feedback. This is more looking at the dynamics that certain teams employ in their game and how they'll try to assert those tactics and how other teams will try to, maybe disrupt and stop them at source, so on and so forth. And for that, today, we're going to be looking at France versus South Africa. I know that it's a long way off, but for me, it's probably one of the most fascinating battles that we're going to see in rugby. We're going to have the world's most free-flowing, fluid team, basically, against the team that likes to absolutely destroy any semblance of that, which is why I'm just going to show a little bit of a preview today about what I've been working on. And any feedback, any advice, please just drop a line in the comments. But hope you guys like it. Go well. One of the best ways that the French generate quick ball, especially under JACKAL pressure, is L'ing in. Now, this is a way of splitting the defence and is actually taken from an old Joe Schmidt tactic. Now, Joe Schmidt actually used this tactic in a very similar way to the Rob McQueen's Australia. Now, I've argued quite a bit that Joe Schmidt may have been influenced by Rob McQueen, particularly in the moves that were used. I mean, we've got Joe's move here in 2018 from Ireland, which was kind of synonymous with Joe Schmidt, and it was pretty bloody effective. But, it was kind of a replica of something that was used in '99 by the Wallabies. And, these moves recycle and regurgitate, but yeah. These principles are making a comeback, particularly the green pass, when a player will scoot out to target D2 and then flip that inside pass back inside to a runner coming from under him. However, whilst this is for Australia, the way that it applies to France is the detail that they're employing this tactic with. This is a quote taken from Paul O'Connell, where he used to say about L'ing in, where you enter the ruck through the gate, but then you angle in from the side to make sure that you can clear out the opposition easier and direct them in a way that you want to take them. This was shown to perfection in 2014 in the England versus Ireland game. Now, as we can see, over the first two phases, they run two phases just to target off 9. However, on the third phase, look here, you've got Paul O'Mahony and Paul O'Connell who step and L in. By doing this, they eliminate Launchbury as the short side guard, opening the space for Carney's line here. From the end-on angle, we can see this in a little bit more clarity, but it's all designed to compromise the fringes. As we see here, Paul O'Connell is actually grabbing and jostling with Launchbury, preventing him from getting back into a position. Therefore, the inside pass gets Carney straight through the line. This all relates to removing the guard defender, but Joe Schmidt is a master of this, and it's also quite applicable to the future of the All Blacks as well. Joe Schmidt's position as a selector is not just as a selector, because you can see the adoption of this tactic throughout the entire Super Rugby competition. If we have a look at this interview here, we actually can see Fozzie saying that the way that they actually made go forward in the autumn was by pick and goes, going up the guts, and really getting free for rucks of that quick go forward ball via that. Against France, New Zealand's application of this was by far their most effective passage of play, and as we can see here, got them right up to the line in that game of attrition. However, this isn't that deceptive, and therefore this is why I believe they've taken from McQueen principles to actually implement into their Super Rugby teams and their All Blacks. The Wallaby use of L'ing in went back to '97, but as we can see here, the Wallabies L in and prevent the open side guard folding over. This means that, as we can see, George Gregan does his scoot, inside pass to Tote Cafu, goes straight through that gap and straight over for a try. It is all about blocking the fold, and it is 100% a Joe Schmidt specialty, and it's something that I believe he's brought into Super Rugby Pacific with his New Zealand teams. The New Zealand conferences have been using this en masse, and I believe it comes from higher up instructions. Now, if we look at the Highlanders example, the Highlanders hooker L's in and actually prevents 2 players folding over from the open side. This eliminates the blindside guard, or D1. 9 then scoots to target D2, flipping that inside pass to the 11, who goes straight through the gap, and it's an easy try. Now, the Chiefs do something very similar, but over 2 phases. Now, as we can see, the 9 delivers the inside pass to a hard strike runner. Now, the Brumbies do the right thing, and their blindside guard comes round and stops the play. But as we can see here, look at the Chiefs. They L that player out. They shepherd him away from the ruck. Now, look at the same position. The inside pass goes in. He's been dragged away. He can't get there in time. It's a try for the Chiefs because of that. If we look at the Hurricanes example, it's very similar to the others. Now, as we can see, the 6 goes in, and we can see him here trying to catch players folding over to the other side, elling in and trying to clear that space. Then 9 scoots out, passes that inside pass to Geordie Barrett, who nearly makes the try line. This is a trend, and it's something that the All Blacks are going to be using 100%, I believe, in the upcoming series. However, Galtier's use of this tactic, I believe, is for 2 main reasons. One, to provide time and space for Antoine Dupont to do his thing. You don't need to give Antoine Dupont much room to do his thing around the ruck, and he will go straight through it, as you've probably seen in the Six Nations. However, Galtier and Labitte's main reason for employing this tactic is to target jackal threats. Target jackal threats and remove decision makers in defence. Now, the French management and analysis teams identify key jackal threats of the opposition. That is what they do, and then they make sure that their players ell in and destroy any chance they ever have at fucking up ruck speed. Now, against the All Blacks, this was Ardie Savea. Ardie Savea was targeted repeatedly by the outside man in the 3-pod wedge. As we can see here, even literally just trying to bump him our way, trying to make sure he never even gets near a ruck. Savea's SOP is to approach the ruck from the inside, so therefore elling in not only removes him back towards the inside, but it saves him from influencing further phases down the line. I mean, if you have a look here, Woki changes his angle and goes towards Savea just in case he tries to jackal. Anytime Savea got close to the tackle area, France elled in and cleared him out with an absolute passion, and this was because their want for ruck speed is imperative to the way they play. However, this constant funneling of players to the other side of the ruck can ripen the 15-metre zone for Surcharger. As we can see, we have Villiers elling in on one of England's main jackal threats in Atoje. Underhill folds over, but he doesn't set early enough, and as such France with quick ball go into their submerger, thinning this area and going forward with offloads and rapid speed. The combination of submerger and elling in on Slade has thinned the 15-metre zone, and in classic Surcharger they overwhelm this zone with their most elusive players going up against Type 5 players and keeping the momentum forward with submerger, eventually scoring a try for France. Now, Rossi and Jacques will be asking themselves how do they stop this, as it's not only key to France's acquiring of fastball, but it also is imperative to removing jackals for 1 or 2 phases after. The main ways I believe the Springboks will try to counter this is by employing jackal assists, to tackle the carrier away from the support players, and lastly, to limit jackals to the 15-metre zones. That's not as likely, but maybe. The jackal assist, I believe, will be the primary way to combat this dynamic, however. The reason being is that the dynamic of the jackal assist is that the supporting player is on the inside of the jackler. You see, the elling assignment is for the outside man in the wedge. Now he comes in from the outside in to drive the man back inside. The point is that the jackal assist supporting player, as you can see by Khaleesi here, comes from the inside to support Vermeulen, meaning the same player coming around through the side may find it hard to shift the 2 of them. One of them by themselves, that's fine, but 2 players coming from the inside and sealing in the jackler, that is going to be more effective. Rossi and Jacques will be briefing their jackal assisters to anchor guys like Malcolm Marks in, and then to actually make sure they don't get pushed off the ball through the side. Khaleesi does a great job of that here. You can see the prop come in to try and clear out Diolende through the side, but he has anchored him in and prevented Diolende's clear out from the side, meaning the penalty stands.